KHKT News Today.
Spanish Prime Minister defends violent response to poll, as raids on ballot stations by riot police leave hundreds of Catalans injured. Catalan officials have claimed that preliminary results of its referendum have shown 90% in favor of independence in the vote vehemently opposed by Spain. Jordi Turull, the Catalan regional government spokesman, told reporters early on Monday morning that 90% of the 2.26 million Catalans who voted Sunday chose yes. He said nearly 8% of voters rejected independence and the rest of the ballots were blank or void. He said 15,000 votes were still being counted. The region has 5.3 million registered voters. Turull said the number of ballots did not include those confiscated by Spanish police during violent raids which resulted in hundreds of people being injured. At least 844 people and 33 police were reported to have been hurt, including at least 2 people who were thought to have been seriously injured. Catalonia's regional leader, Carles Puigdemont, spoke out against the violence with a pointed address. On this day of hope and suffering, Catalonia's citizens have earned the right to have an independent state in the form of a republic. My government, in the next few days, will send the results of the vote to the Catalan Parliament, where the sovereignty of our people lies, so that it can act in accordance with the law of the referendum. Puigdemont had pressed ahead with the referendum despite opposition from the Spanish state, which declared the poll to be illegal, and the region's own high court. He told crowds earlier in the day that the police brutality will shame the Spanish state forever. The Spanish government defended its response after hundreds of people were hurt when riot police stormed polling stations in a last-minute effort to stop the vote on Sunday. Although many Catalans managed to cast their ballots, others were forcibly stopped from voting as schools' housing ballot boxes were raided by police acting on the orders of the Catalan High Court. The large Ramon Llull school in central Barcelona was the scene of a sustained operation, with witnesses describing police using axes to smash the doors, charging the crowds and firing rubber bullets. Spain's Interior Ministry said 12 police officers had been hurt and 3 people arrested for disobedience and assaulting officers. The Spanish Prime Minister, Mariano Rajoy, speaking on Sunday night, said the government had done what it had to do and thanked the police for acting with firmness and serenity. Today there has not been a self-determination referendum in Catalonia. The rule of law remains in force with all its strength. We are the government of Spain and I am the head of the government of Spain and I accepted my responsibility. We have done what was required of us. We have acted, as I have said from the beginning, according to the law and only according to the law. And we have shown that our democratic state has the resources to defend itself from an attack as serious as the one that was perpetrated with this illegal referendum. Today, democracy has prevailed because we have obeyed the Constitution. Ada Colau, the mayor of Barcelona, demanded an end to the police actions and called for the Rajoy's resignation. Artur Mas, the former Catalan president whose government staged a symbolic independence referendum 3 years ago, called for the authoritarian Rajoy to stand down, adding that Catalonia could not remain alongside a state that uses batons and police brutality. Enrique Millo, the most senior Spanish government official in the region, said the police had behaved professionally in carrying out the judge's orders. Soraya Sáenz de Santamaría, the Spanish deputy prime minister, echoed that position, saying the police had shown firmness, professionalism and proportionality in the face of the absolute irresponsibility of the Catalan government. She called on Puigdemont to drop the farce of the independence campaign, saying Spain had long since emerged from the authoritarian shadow of the Franco dictatorship. I don't know what world Puigdemont lives in, but Spanish democracy does not work like this, said Sáenz de Santamaría. We have been free from a dictatorship for a long time and of a man who told us his word in the law. The Catalan government's spokesperson Jordi Turull said 319 of the 2,315 polling stations set up for the referendum were closed by police. Jesus Lopez Rodriguez, a 51-year-old administrator, had taken his family to vote at the Ramon Llull school in the morning. Like thousands of Catalans, they began queuing from 5 a.m. 3.5 hours later, National police officers arrived in riot gear. They told us that the Catalan High Court had ordered them to take the ballot boxes and that we needed to disperse, he told The Guardian. We chanted, "No! No! No!" and then about 20 police officers charged us. It was short, only about 2 minutes, but we stayed together. After about 15 minutes, 8 or 9 more police vans appeared and officers began cordoning off the surrounding streets and arresting people, Lopez Rodriguez said. Advertisement. They dragged them out violently. We stood our ground but they kept dragging people away, kicking them and throwing them to the ground. More police arrived and jumped over the school fence to enter the building to look for ballot boxes. After using axes to break down the doors of the school, they emerged with the boxes. Lopez Rodriguez said that at about 10:25 am, police began shooting rubber bullets, at least 30 or 40. He fled the shots with his wife and children, returning to their flat opposite the school. I feel really angry about it, he said, but I also hope people in Europe and around the world will see what's happening in Catalonia. Similar scenes were reported elsewhere. Riot police smashed the glass doors of the sports center near Girona where Puigdemont had been due to vote. Despite forcing their way in, they failed to stop the Catalan president voting. Pictures showed him casting his ballot in nearby Cornellà del Terri. The day started peacefully and hopefully in polling stations across the region. Hundreds of people started queuing outside the Cervantes primary school in central Barcelona from well before dawn. I'm here to fight for our rights and our language and for our right to live better and to have a future, said Myra Estape, who lives close to the school. One man in a queue, who did not wish to be named, said he had come because Catalans need to vote, they're robbing us in Spain. Another would-be voter said simply, I don't want to live in a fascist country. Many Catalans saw their wishes fulfilled in polling stations as officers from the regional force, the Mossos d'Esquadra, hung back. Joaquin Pons, 89, was delighted to have cast his ballot, as he had done in the symbolic referendum 3 years ago. Last time it was cardboard ballot boxes, he said. This time they were real. It was very emotional. Pons said he felt Catalans had had little choice but to proceed unilaterally. It would have been nice if we could all have stayed together in Spain, but the Madrid government has made it impossible. It's sad, but that's the way it is. Advertisement. News and images of the police operation traveled quickly through the crowds in Barcelona and elsewhere, adding to the uneasy atmosphere that has intensified since police arrested 14 Catalan officials and seized millions of ballot papers last week. On Sunday afternoon, FC Barcelona announced that its Spanish League game against Las Palmas would be played without fans at the city's Camp Stadium. In a statement, the club condemned the attempts to prevent Catalans exercising their democratic rights to free expression and said the professional football league had refused to postpone the game. Sunday's violence came less than 24 hours after the Spanish government had appeared confident that enough had been done to thwart the vote. On Saturday, Millo said police had sealed off 1,300 of the region's 2,315 polling stations, while Guardia Civil officers acting on the judge's orders had searched the headquarters of the Catalan Technology and Communications Center, disabling the software connecting polling stations and shutting down online voting applications. These last-minute operations have allowed us to very definitively break up any possibility of the Catalan government delivering what it promised. A binding, effective referendum with legal guarantees, he said.